We began a scenario where Goku met Bardock by sheer coincidence. And following the events on Namek, Bardock actually has come back to life, now living on Earth. Which sounds pretty straightforward, but there's still a lot of loose ends to be tied up. Where do we go from here? We'll cover all that and more in the second part of What If Goku Met Bardock. Immediately after being revived, the first person that wants to talk to Bardock is Vegeta. He has a lot of questions because first of all, it's another Saiyan being revived. And second, it's pretty clearly someone related to Kakarot and, by extension, Raditz. Why is he coming back all of a sudden? How does Kakarot remember him? Doesn't he forget all of his past? And yeah, he still does forget everything, but Bardock explains what happened. And Vegeta being Vegeta, he'd probably try and fight Bardock here. Vegeta did get pretty strong on Namek, especially towards the latter part. So as the fight begins, it's pretty clear he has an upper hand against Bardock. Not to mention he's trained a bit on Earth too. But Bardock had months with King Kai. Some of it was spent with training partners, some alone. But still, he was training there. The 10 times gravity wouldn't really benefit him because, well, he had that on planet Vegeta. But the training went really well though. And Bardock has one way to close the gap. He powers up and a red aura surrounds him, as he shouts Kaioken. He can't do it up to times 20 like Goku right now. He can mostly use times 5, and if he really wants to push it, he can go to times 10. But still, that allows him to get the edge. And Vegeta immediately recognized that. They both know the same technique. He's not sure how they learned that. Anyways, Bardock thanks everyone for reviving him. He did meet some of them on King Kai's planet, and he understands it's kind of weird. Goku randomly reviving his long-lost father, especially after what happened with Raditz. And not to mention, Goku's not even here at the moment. But saying that gets him thinking. Raditz. He should probably try and revive him soon, right? And Gine too, definitely. Raditz may need some extra time to chill. It's not going to be that straightforward. Everyone else isn't really too sure about Raditz because even though Bardock seems pretty okay, I mean, most of them saw and heard what happened with Raditz. Especially Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo. Gine, they know nothing about though, but Bardock assures them that she's fine. Although another interesting thing for Bardock is that he gets to meet his grandson for the first time. Gohan's a little hesitant to meet him after what happened with his uncle, and Bardock's not going to be the nicest guy. Like, sure, he's not evil here, but he's still a Saiyan, and he's not really developed. But he at least shows some sort of care for his family, and he might not be some extroverted, lovable guy, but still, I think he'd handle this well. So Gohan kinda warms up to him a bit. It's still weird though. He eventually meets Chi-Chi and Ox King as well. Chi-Chi likes him right from the get-go because he looks just like Goku, so that's a good impression. Although she scolds him for what happened to Raditz. Why'd he raise a son like that? And pretty quickly, Bardock can clearly see why Goku married Chi-Chi. Saiyans love a strong woman after all. Some more time passes. A strong power approaches Earth, and many of the fighters there can recognize it. And even those who don't immediately recognize it as Frieza, they'll put 2 and 2 together and realize it's a really strong evil presence. It's Frieza. Mecha Frieza to be exact, as well as King Cold. No one shows up to help them, so it looks like they're going to have to try and fight Frieza here, which seems nearly impossible. Frieza fixes his eyes on the group and sees that everyone's here besides Goku. But there's another face there who he recognizes, although it's someone who shouldn't be here. Is that the Saiyan who rebelled against him? That makes no sense. He was dead. Frieza was the one to kill him after all. How strange. He guesses they revived him with the Dragon Balls, but why now after all this time? Whatever, no point in questioning it. But as Frieza steps up to fight, somebody then tackles him out of the way. A golden light flies across the battlefield, and everyone feels a ridiculously strong power. King Cold looks on confused, but then someone else attacks him too. And this attacker they get a good look at. He's someone they don't recognize, but he also seems to be a Super Saiyan. The fight with Frieza goes really fast though, and whoever's fighting him finishes him off really quickly. But they hear the last thing Frieza says. He screams, "How is he alive too?" And they watch as a purple blast decimates him. The other younger warrior kills King Cold with a sword, much more common, and he then approaches the group, with the other guy powering down, and once that first guy powers down, they feel like they kind of recognize him. The younger one doesn't say who he is, but the older one steps up. He's tall, scarred, missing an eye, has a beard and some pretty long hair. But the smoking gun is when he looks at Bardock and first says, "Hello, father." It's a much different looking Raditz. Yep, I'm using biker Raditz here again. I feel like I get 1 or 2 of these per year, right? Is that fair? I know there's another Raditz scenario running right now, so this at least makes them a bit distinct. And if it wasn't obvious, the other one is future Trunks, but he doesn't really say much about himself. So there's definitely a lot to be caught up on. In the future, Bardock got around to reviving Gine and Raditz at some point. However, things didn't really go so well. Goku eventually died from the heart virus, and following this, Bardock took it upon himself to train Gohan. He was doing the same for Raditz as well. Unfortunately, even more tragedy struck. The androids arrived. Most of the group couldn't do much against them. Bardock and Gine did join the fight too, but they died as well. Their reunion was pretty short-lived. It wasn't just them. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Vegeta, Piccolo, all of them died against the androids. Only 2 people escaped, Gohan and Raditz. Raditz did kind of bail, realizing it was hopeless, and being the much weaker one of the group. Considering he wasn't really alive long, he knew he didn't stand much of a chance, and even though he wouldn't have done much here, he felt cowardly for leaving. He beat himself up over it, and the worst part was, no one knew what to do against the androids. It was just him, Gohan, and a baby Trunks. By the way, most of the Trunks stuff is left out because they don't want to reveal his identity right away, at least not until Goku's here. Gohan wasn't also really fond of being around Raditz, but Raditz had to take it upon himself to train Gohan, which Gohan didn't really like, considering the whole kidnapping thing and all, and not to mention the fact that Gohan was already above Raditz. But Raditz at least was more knowledgeable as a warrior, so They had to do this, along with the fact that neither of them had another training partner. Eventually, Trunks got old enough to fight too, and Gohan mostly trained him, but Raditz helped a lot with that. And despite the terrible circumstances, Raditz and Gohan eventually did end up bonding a bit, growing stronger and stronger until at one point, Gohan and Raditz both had Super Saiyan for themselves. Still, it wasn't enough for the androids, but they were making progress. If they planned an attack perfectly, they'd be able to make it out of here. In their various fights, Gohan ended up losing an arm against the androids and getting scarred, and Raditz lost an eye during combat, also getting scarred up as well. But then their final battle arrived. The three of them fought the androids together and did pretty well. Trunks even had Super Saiyan by this point, having just recently gotten it, but the androids still got the upper hand. First, they were able to target Trunks, knocking him out of the battle, which prompted Gohan to protect him, and then 17 and 18 ganged up on Gohan, killing him while he tried to protect Trunks. Raditz was still conscious nearby, but pretty beat up, and he watched as Gohan died in front of him. First, the androids killed his parents after just getting brought back. Not that he really cared for them at that point, but still. Even though he got a second chance at life, everything was taken from him right away. And now, one of the few things in his life that he did grow to like, Gohan, he's been taken too. This pushed Raditz over the edge, and he transformed beyond Super Saiyan, going to Super Saiyan 2 for the first time. With this power, he ended up killing Android 18, but he ran out of steam pretty quickly, especially with the fact that he was already injured. But thankfully, this gave him some time to escape, picking up Trunks as he left. Trunks didn't witness any of it, but Raditz had to break the news to him after that Gohan died, and the two of them would do anything in their power to stop the remaining android. Thankfully, with Raditz's new power-up, he kinda just needed to rest a bit. 17 went on a rampage afterwards, trying to draw them out, which made it pretty easy to find him. The two Saiyans ambushed 17 and killed him. So, the androids in the future were defeated, but most of the people are still dead. This is an effort to rewrite the past. And Raditz powers up in front of everyone, showing off Super Saiyan 2, saying this is a level beyond Super Saiyan. He knows most of them probably don't even have Super Saiyan yet. Kakarot should be the only one to have it by this point. And then he pulls Bardock aside, asking if Kakarot knows that he plans to revive him. Bardock says Goku's still not back yet, which Raditz finds kinda weird because he was the one to fight Mecha Frieza before. He should be here by now. So they sit around waiting, and eventually Goku arrives back from Yardrat. Pretty surprised to hear about the time travelers. Trunks tells him who he is. And of course he knows Raditz, but this is really weird. He doesn't know how to feel even if it is a different Raditz. After threatening his friends and kidnapping Gohan, then causing his death and sending the Saiyans here, he's not just gonna instantly forgive him right away. But on the other hand, he did kind of forgive Vegeta after all too. Raditz says he gave Kakarot a hard time in the future as well, and he knows the two of them won't see eye to eye right away. He chuckles when saying this. Get it? Eye to eye, because he's missing one? Anyways, as Raditz talks to him and his father, he says maybe they could all have a second chance here. Wouldn't that be nice? Bardock seemed to like Earth by the time Raditz was revived, and Raditz didn't realize what he lost until it was gone. He may have gotten a second chance at life, but not the same life his brother got to experience on Earth, and not a second chance at family. All his years in the future taught him how great that was. And it's not going to happen overnight for Raditz here, but he tells him once Raditz comes back here, give him a chance. He and Trunks look over at Gohan as well. Raditz actually didn't really talk to Gohan much during this encounter because he knows Gohan's probably scared of him right now, or maybe he wants to kill him. Either way, both extreme reactions he doesn't want to provoke. And Trunks can't really reveal his identity besides to Goku and also Bardock because Raditz says it's fine, although Piccolo overhears everything too. They return to the future and say they will be back. Goku then catches up with everyone including Bardock. He explains where he was, and he was on some planet called the Yardrat, where he also learned to teleport. And Bardock explains what he's been up to as well, so Goku gets to hear what happened with him. It's cool to have him back here. Again, it's not like they instantly have a bond together because they do barely know each other, but hey, crazier things have happened. He's friends with Piccolo now, who not only tried to kill him before, but actually did kill him. So, if he could grow close with Piccolo, he could do so with his own father. And Vegeta's really annoyed by this all. Really? Raditz became a Super Saiyan before him? And Gohan too, as well as that random kid that showed up? Not just that, but Raditz went beyond Super Saiyan as well. And from the sound of it, he didn't even go Super Saiyan in the future in general, he just died against the androids. Vegeta thinks he must be really pathetic to do that. So, in a fit of anger, he decides to leave Earth in order to train himself. He'll find a way to go Super Saiyan, and not just that, he'll go beyond it. He'll become a Super Saiyan 2 before anybody else. But of course on Earth, another few things have to be done. Training for the androids begins. Bardock makes a wish to revive Raditz first. He did plan on reviving Gine first because, well, that's his wife, and she would have had a better time here on Earth right away, but he goes with this because he knows Raditz will need more time to adapt. Raditz arrives back at the spot where he died, and Goku teleports over there with Bardock. Raditz is left really confused. Why is he back here? And not just that, Kakarot's back too. He should have died. The weirdest part is his father's here. He has a lot of questions, and he's not really in the best mood. It was better to bring him back first as the stronger warrior, and so they can get ahead of his issues with Goku. Of course, Raditz immediately tries to pick a fight with Goku, but with a single finger he defeats Raditz. They try and give him a rundown of the situation, as well as why he's revived, but he doesn't really believe any of it. This all sounds like nonsense, which kind of makes sense because it's a lot at once. But the thing that kind of gets Raditz to calm down is the fact that he learns, first of all, his brother became a Super Saiyan, so there's no way he's going to do anything against him. But on top of that, if Raditz follows along, apparently he'll become a Super Saiyan too because the future version of him did. Okay, well, maybe now he'll listen. It's very hard to believe, but Fine, he'll go along with it. Although he's pretty pissed off to learn Vegeta's here too. He thought he finally escaped him in hell, but no. Well, Bardock says at the very least, he could focus his hate on Vegeta instead of Goku. Bardock is kind of a mediator for the two of them, and they don't get along too well at first, but at least they don't hate each other, and Goku's really trying to make an effort here. Not to mention, Raditz is really far behind. When he died, he wasn't really that strong, at least compared to where everyone is now. After a year passes, Gine then comes back next, and Bardock apologizes for not bringing her back sooner, but she's happy because, first of all, she's back with Bardock, and second of all, her whole family's here. She immediately hugs Goku and Raditz. Raditz does remember her, but Goku doesn't. She's a little saddened to learn Goku doesn't really remember anything, but he's been with the other two for a bit, and he's been told about Gine at least. And you know, Bardock's pretty happy seeing all this too. At one point he did wish his kids would thrive. He wanted this outcome for them. He didn't picture both of them dying first, let alone against each other. But still, this is a start. And not only do they get to live, but he and his wife do. He always was kind of an oddball, being one of the few Saiyans that actually had a romantic relationship. So it's nice being on Earth where this seems to be the common thing. Goku trains more with the Super Saiyan, and eventually, Bardock's the next one to get Super Saiyan. Vegeta also gets it for himself off planet while training. Raditz is really far behind. Gine trains a bit too. She did used to be a warrior before, but it's not really her main focus right now. Based on what happened on planet Vegeta, and her leaving combat, it seems like she's not really cut out for it, so she might train just really casually. Raditz, on the other hand, of course, is going to take this really seriously, especially knowing there's two Super Saiyans in his family, and he has the potential to be one too. Bardock is a bit saddened to know that his second chance at life was cut short in the future, and same for Gine. He really wants to ensure that doesn't happen here, so he's glad he unlocked Super Saiyan so early. This at least gives them a chance. He can't let that happen, nor can he let Kakarot die after all of this, so he makes sure that Goku takes his medicine right when he exhibits the first sign of the heart virus. He's not going to take any sort of chance here. And finally, a few weeks before the androids arrive, there's one last person to unlock Super Saiyan. It's Gohan. This is actually kind of attributed to Raditz. He remembers that same anger he had fighting him. Granted, Raditz has cooled down by now. He's not a great guy, but at least he's cooperating. But still, Piccolo took advantage of this in Gohan's training. He used that to help Gohan tap into that same anger for Super Saiyan, and Goku didn't even consider that. Oh yeah, he forgot Gohan hates his uncle, or at least hated him back then. Hopefully they can all grow past that, and Gohan used this anger to turn Super Saiyan for the first time. You know, at least Gohan likes his grandparents right now, and Chi-Chi likes them too. Raditz, on the other hand, yeah, he takes some adjusting, especially with Chi-Chi. Goku is surprisingly understanding with him though after what future Raditz said. But the day finally comes. Androids 19 and 20 arrive in a city, and with that, we'll leave off here for now. What'd you guys think about this part? What's going to happen next time? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel, and it shows me I want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.